Broadcasting live from a room full of cursed children's toys, this is Pop Culture Reference, your one-stop reference for all things pop culture. I'm one of your hosts, Garrett Strother.
And I'm one of your other hosts, Bill. Seamus Connolly.
How long have you been holding on to that one?
Just came up with it a second ago. Thought I'd give it a shot.
That is so good. If you guys don't know what we're talking about, we are doing the first two Conjuring films for our main segment today in preparation for The Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It, or maybe just The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. I think they're dropping the numbers.
Oh, that's weird. I hate that title, and I have not been quiet about my dislike for that title. It's getting worse.
Well, I think it'll probably be more justified in movie. So, we'll see, but we'll be talking about that next week, because this week we're talking about those first two, would you call them modern horror classics, Seamus?
Maybe. They're pretty, I think they might have been in that era of, like, modern horror renaissance a little bit, back when that first one came out.
But first, we're gonna talk about some real life horror in our news segment.
Oh god, yes. Take it away, Garrett.
First up, pretty big news. Amazon, the media titan, shipping titan, you guys know what Amazon is, has acquired MGM Studios, which is just the entire way they're going about this is really unnerving to me. Of like, I think the official Amazon press release is something along the lines of, MGM has such a great wealth of intellectual property, and Amazon is very excited to bring those properties into the 21st century. So get ready for a 2001 reboot, folks. And,
oh god.
Or
Another
Gone with the Wind. It's just called. Oh wait, they wrote a book called Scarlet, so this isn't really a very good joke. I was gonna say a Cruella style, like, Gone with the Wind prequel.
They already did that. I was gonna say another RoboCop reboot, just as disappointing as the other one. I think more Addams Family Until We're All Dead. Is that MGM, I think?
Oh, probably. I like the Addams Family. I have no problem with them being a heavy hitter franchise. Seamus, you know about my affinity for the Addams Family, but
of course.
It's just the whole attitude of, like, look at all this great IP that we're gonna be able to give that Amazon polish, and it's like they're saving it.
Yeah,
I hate it.
In reality, it's just like they're just publicly pillaging all of our beloved IPs. Like, I was just looking at a list, stuff like, oh, they're gonna go hard on James Bond, they're gonna turn that into like a Jack Ryan series starring, somebody weirdly not fit for the role. Or
that's the thing that I was gonna bring up, is Bond is in a weird space where the Broccolis still own the rights.
Oh, really?
Even though it's one of those, like, MGM owns the rights to, like, making Bond films or something, but the Broccolis still own the character or something. Like, it's a whole complicated thing that we might end up doing for a pop culture reference at some point when I do enough research to understand it.
But as it stands now, Bond is in a weird gray area.
I mean, No Time to Die is still coming out. They're probably going to keep making Bond movies just the way they always have. But, yeah, I don't know if Amazon's going to go like, okay, it's time for the Moneypenny Amazon Prime series.
I was going to say it's the 008 series or something like that. Young M, maybe? I would actually watch that.
It's totally Young M.
Yeah.
Like, you get, I don't even know who you get to play young Judi Dench, like Alice Eve or somebody.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Ugh.
She was originally a 00 agent or something that graduated to... Yeah, sure.
It writes itself, except for the fact that it's terrible.
That's exactly why they're gonna make it, dude.
I mean, you saw what happened with Spectre, where they were like, oh, what if we cinematic universe Bond?
Yeah. Literally, like, such an anthology-based franchise that they thought they could pull that with. It's... Ugh.
I mean, Skyfall I give a pass for essentially trying to origin story James Bond, just because it's a movie that rocks, but...
There was a lot of interesting stuff with his, like, Scottish origins, too, that were kind of more in line with how the original character was supposed to be, or, like, some of the details about his upbringing that were bleeding through, that were actually straight up based on what he said in the, like, way older films. I thought that was interesting, but...
Oh, yeah, like, I like Skyfall. This is not a knock on
great.
Skyfall. So, yeah, MGM, it's a weird thing, it's a sad thing, and we'll talk about it more during our pop culture reference. This is on the heels, of course, of both Jeff Bezos' divorce and Jeff Bezos stepping down more recently from being CEO of Amazon.
Yeah, I don't really know what that means for a deal like this, besides the fact that whoever is in charge now is just going to be trying to make that Bezos money and, like, triple it, so I can only imagine they're going to be churning out just a river of these remakes and reboots.
The only good thing about this is the fact that I know Disney was interested in buying MGM, and I would rather more independent stuff stay independent, but I would rather somebody own MGM that's not Disney just for the sake of,
monopolization, maybe?
Like, the illusion of, variety.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And plus, Amazon Studios has made some really solid stuff over the last few years, like Oscar-y stuff, I think, right? Big Sick and Hidden Figures, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, was Manchester by the Sea Amazon Studios?
That seems right.
I think that's right.
Yeah, like, Amazon makes good content, it's just, like...
It's weird to have it be this... It's growing as a conglomerate, and that's never usually a great thing.
And also, so much of Amazon's good content, obviously there are the exceptions of, like, Jack Ryan, but most of Amazon's content is original stuff, like new IPs,
Yeah, that is true. I feel like... I guess The Boys was based on a comic book, but...
That's true. I do, yeah. But speaking of running beloved comic franchises into the ground with stuff nobody asked for, Todd Philips is signed on to co-write a sequel to Joker, a thing he said he would never do.
A collective sigh of exhaustion reading this. It's just, if you didn't think they could fit, too many, like, eye-rolling references in the first one, how are they... It's a sequel to that? What are they even gonna do?
Seamus, the Joker is my favorite independent film.
Oh, you little...
And it's just snobs like you that don't want to see the little guy succeed, just like in my favorite independent film, The Joker.
You actually have to have a really high intellect to understand the Joker, and it shows that you don't, so...
Oh, man.
We're gonna go back to those memes for a long time, folks. That and more paranoia about Joker-style terrorism, probably, is only what I can imagine. Just like the good old days, pre-COVID, you remember? Yeah, that's what we're coming back to. It's dark.
Do you think there's gonna be, like, some kind of weird COVID metaphor going on in the new Joker?
Hell yeah. Are you kidding me? I didn't even think of that until you just said it, but that makes more than complete sense. If Todd Phillips just signed to co-write it, it's gonna be about Society 2.0, brother. It's gonna go up.
Oh man, I can't believe we all just lived a year under the influence of Joker gas and we'll have to stay inside.
Oh, they're gonna do a thing about masks and Joker masks and that whole thing.
No.
You already know, dude. Oh no.
But Seamus, nobody even cared who I was until I put on the mask.
If they go for that, I'm in. I'm 100% on board for that joke alone. If they go Bane with it.
Joker-style Bane is way more interesting to me than Joker-style Joker, honestly. Like, putting him in a weird 70s grimy New York.
Yeah, man.
I could vibe with that.
It's something. I feel like with the Robert Pattinson Batman pulling from the Long Halloween concept, with, like, a lot of these villains going to be coming into play for, like, their first time iteration in that universe, I think this Joker is going to try to do something similar, of taking more Batman villains and pulling the Todd Phillips on them and, like, making them gritty and, like socially blank. That's gonna be the whole thing. They're just gonna tweak all these villains to fit with the Joker aesthetic and theme.
I was gonna say, I feel like they wouldn't want to double dip with what Pattinson's doing. I would almost be interested to see what Phillips would do with a penguin, but like,
I don't know what else they could do. Really, is the thing. Like, are they gonna have? See, I don't even remember Joaquin Phoenix's name in that. If they're gonna have the Joker be on the other side of like teenage Bruce Wayne on a fence, like we've seen it, we've done that. Are they gonna like make it a Batman movie where Batman is doing things? Probably not. There's just very little in my mind that they could do from where they left off on the last one, I guess.
It's the secret is because the first one isn't well written.
Oh no! Take that, Todd Philips.
Oh no, they're coming for me.
You're getting
Joker mob.
You're getting canceled, brother, by the Joker gang. That's what it's gonna be. It's gonna be the Joker gang, and then that's gonna bleed into like internet trolls during the promotion of this movie. And it's gonna be like, we're the Joker gang, right, guys? Let's go all support Todd Phillips.
They would never do it because it's a studio movie that wants to make money.
Yeah, I guess.
Honestly, the most interesting way they could take that is if the movie is going to still pretend that it thinks the Joker is the bad guy, which the first one doesn't. Then they could say some really interesting things about, like, what if you had a Joker movie not about, I can't remember his name either. If you didn't have the Joker in your movie, if it's just about these young, radicalized Joker followers, you could say a lot of really interesting things about demagoguery, cult of personality, relevant messages about the impressionability of young male people.
Damn, that's honestly a great take on that. Especially if they were gonna maybe, I don't remember the exact year in the first one, but if they're gonna do a little time jump, maybe to like early 80s in Gotham, young punk scene is like turning into young Joker gang scene, turning into destroying Gotham. Well, maybe the Joker, whose name we can't remember, is sitting in Arkham for a while.
Fleck. His name is Fleck.
Arthur Fleck. There
name.
It is. Arthur. Yeah.
Arthur Fleck.
Damn. Did you just pull that out, or did you look that up?
No, it popped into my brain.
God, I was trying so hard to remember his name, and I just kept thinking of the "you wouldn't get it" delivery, where he's smoking his cigarette at the end. Or is that at the beginning? I don't even remember.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Oh God.
I'm the Joker of not liking the Joker, Seamus. Ooh, I'm edgy. I'm edgy because I don't like the Joker. We don't live in a society.
Oh my God, you've cracked the code. That's the only way to deflate these Joker people is denying society.
Let's talk about something else.
Let's talk about another strange adaptation of a classic character, which actually
that we
absolutely sniped, dude. Which one of us actually was it? I think it was.
I said it first, but you were literally about to say it, I believe, all the way back in January when they announced this project, the new Wonka origin film directed by Paddington director Paul King. You and I both were like, oh, here's who would be good for it and who we'd like to see and what would be an interesting choice. But it's probably going to be Timothee Chalamet.
Oh God,
I'm not knocking Timothee Chalamet. I like Timothee Chalamet.
I love Timothee Chalamet, but it was like we have this studio kind of casting down at this point. That was such a snipe. I can see him, with the curly hair, with the top hat. I could see that going down, but yeah, I don't know. He does definitely remind me more visually with just like the pointier nose and the paler skin of like the Johnny Depp Willy Wonka, but I doubt they're going to be trying to go that angle.
No, I think what I'm picturing is like he's young, sexy, poor Willy, and everybody calls him Willy.
Oh yeah?
And okay, we're having a trailer and it's like, that Disney color grading where it like is technically a color, but everything still seems washed out.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
It's gonna be that. It's gonna be that style color grading of like, and there's gonna be like little English kids being like, "Go away, street trash!" Ooh. and then he's like looking like Charlie style. He's like looking in the window of a. This is the trailer, by the way.
Yeah,
He's
and
looking
just
in the
real
window of
quick, the entire time a slowed down rendition of the Candyman can is playing under all of this.
No, brother, it's pure imagination on the piano.
Oh, there
slowly.
it is. There it
my,
is.
That was my punchline, Seamus.
No, I'm sorry. Oh, I stepped on the punchline. I was thinking Candyman can because in my imagination he is like the low down street candy vendor for a while. He's the Candyman.
Oh, sure. No, but it goes because it starts with like the little kids over, and then it goes bum bum bum, and then like another line of dialogue and another thing, and then like bum bum bum, and it just and then like when we actually get into it, you actually get into the melody, and then at the end you see the silhouette of, or maybe it's either the silhouette of the cane and the top hat, or him about to put the top hat on his head.
Oh,
and then,
yeah.
Poof, Wonka.
That is so... whenever this trailer comes out, I'm gonna cut this bit of audio out and put it over the trailer just so you can be so right. It's gonna be shot for shot. I imagine they're gonna throw in quick cuts of like a woman he's falling in love with who we know is gonna either die or leave him by the end.
She's gonna drown in a river of chocolate.
Yeah, exactly. It's gonna be like him meeting like an even poorer, more low down Oompa Loompa somewhere, and he's like, "Come with me, and we'll see." You know, we're.
Oh yeah. Oh no.
You get everything that's gonna happen here.
Oh, Slugworth is gonna be in this movie.
Oh yes, he's gonna be like the big villain, young Grandpa Joe is gonna be in this for sure.
You think we're getting young Grandpa Joe?
I think so. It's gonna be like Mark Wahlberg or something stupid like that. It's gonna be young Grandpa Joe. I'm just thinking of the stupidest
He's
casting.
keeping his Uncharted mustache.
Yeah. Oh god. Yeah, it's gonna be something like that. That's gonna be an element. It's gonna respark the Grandpa Joe hate community. It's gonna be weird.
Where do you fall on Grandpa Joe, Seamus?
He might as well be a war criminal, Garrett. I think that he is absolute human garbage, and he knows what he did. He knows what he does.
Ugh. It's about the power of hope, Seamus.
It's about the power of his working legs, walking his ass to work to buy cabbage soup for his starving family.
Absolutely fantastic. I cannot wait to talk about more Willy Wonka with you.
Yeah, it's only gonna get weirder.
We've got some more casting news, though, as Merle Dandridge is going to reprise her role of Marlene from the video game The Last of Us in the upcoming HBO series The Last of Us.
That's fantastic. You know, I love to see the holdovers from the actual game coming through with how much attention they spent on like facial motion capture and like bringing a lot of the people that were working on this game into the game itself. So, you know, it's great to see her cross the line into the live action. Also, Merle Dandridge, just big shout out in general. She's having a great couple years here between The Last of Us games, this show. I believe she is the voice for Alex in the Half-Life franchise. And
is she really?
I believe so. And they just
that.
put out the first canon Half-Life based entirely around her character, I think this year, last year.
The VR one, right?
Yeah, the VR one. And they're kind of teasing that that's going to maybe go to PlayStation soon, or maybe that they're going to continue Half-Life. So she's doing grand right now.
But yeah, this is exciting. Despite our Valve tangent.
Yes.
Good for her. I like seeing these voice actors transition into their live action roles, because if they're right for the part, they're right for the part, you know?
Absolutely. Marlene is such a intense and well done role in those games. I'm just really happy to see that. Praying that intensity definitely translates. I'm not sure why it wouldn't, so it's good news.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Yeah. One last bit of casting news. Aaron Taylor Johnson is set to star in a Kraven the Hunter spin-off film in the Sonyverse, the Venomverse, set to debut January 2023. So we've got three of our Sinister Six, Seamus.
Yes, yes, we do. I can only imagine they're gonna tease this at the end of Let There Be Carnage.
Or Morbius.
Or
which
Morbius.
should technically be coming out before that.
True, true. I was just gonna ask, does this officially cut any chance that the Sonyverse and the MCU will leak into each other? Because that man is Quicksilver.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, Tom Holland's definitely still gonna show up in the Venom movies.
You think so?
I think so. I mean, I still like our theory that, from whatever week we talked about this, that this is the Amazing Spider-Man universe.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
that would just be amazing.
That would be the best case scenario. Because now I'm also remembering that Toombs was in that Morbius trailer.
Yes,
so
correct.
There is still connective tissue, but it's like so locked off to the main characters, maybe?
You could also have it where like Vulture is just the same in both realities, and it doesn't matter. But I was going to say, we actually seem to have 4 of our Sinister Six, because if Vulture's in Morbius, then we've got
right.
Venom. Oh, wait, no, and you've got Carnage, too. So you've got Venom, Carnage, Morbius, Vulture, and Kraven. You're only missing one.
You only need that Goblin. Or it's the Doc Ock?
It could be anybody.
I guess it could be anybody.
Sinister Six, it doesn't matter.
It's a mix and match.
My first instinct with this casting was that Aaron Taylor Johnson was too young, but then I remembered, like, him with his big beard in Tenet, and I was like, well,
yeah, right.
Fine. And he's jacked or whatever.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting, to say the least. I like him. I want to see him in more. I feel like he always gets, like Kick-Ass was great. I loved him in Kick-Ass, and I wish he was around for more than a movie in the MCU, but yeah, this is his new shot. Villains are in, man. Heroes are nothing these days.
But let's flip over to Marvel for a second. Wait, no, this is Marvel still. You know what I mean. Let's flip over to the MCU.
There we go.
And talk about that new Eternals trailer.
This new Eternals trailer is wild, dude. I know very little about the Eternals since they've been announced as going to be part of the MCU, but this trailer has me incredibly excited. We get to see the whole cast in their super cool armor, their Eternals outfits. There's way more of them than I had even realized until I saw that big team-up shot of them, of all of them standing together.
In my head, there was like 6 of them, and there is definitely more than that.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, exactly.
Also, I didn't realize that Robb Stark and Jon Snow were in this movie.
Yeah, right? I didn't realize that either.
I knew Robb Stark was in it, but
we're gonna get some fun action with them, I'm sure. This trailer was like them emerging into like pre-civilization Earth from a giant triangle spaceship and like building, I don't know, Atlantis. Like they're doing some pretty futuristic stuff for these humans here.
Oh man, can't wait for Marvel to play into the Ancient Aliens crowd.
Oh, gotta love that. Oh man. Definitely a big thing that I've been seeing a lot of online from this trailer is like, well, they're so powerful, where were they during this? If they know about the Avengers, why didn't they help during this? And
I mean,
that's the movie, though, right?
Yeah, like, they're so explicitly like, we don't help throughout history, really, except sometimes we do. Like, clearly that's the movie telling us, hey, we're gonna address the very thing that you're asking about.
But that's literally the only thing I've been seeing about Eternals is like a third is like, oh, this looks fun, and the other 2/3 are like, this is BS, or like they're talking about usurping Avenger stuff. I can only assume that little joke at the end of that trailer about, was that Robb Stark saying, I'll take over
he wants to lead the Avengers now.
Yeah.
And was that Wong at the end of the trailer?
No, I don't think so. Wait, was it?
Okay.
Because I was going to say
I watched it on my phone, so I couldn't really tell.
I don't think it was. I feel like I would have recognized him. Yeah, I don't think so. I was going to say, though, it looks so much like Doctor Strange magic. And I
Yes.
love that. Like, that's some of my favorite visual effects in the MCU is the Doctor Strange magic, and it's like that plus Iron Man suits. It looks badass. It looks like it's gonna be super fun.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this. I'm glad it didn't give me a ton of plot or anything. I'm glad this trailer relied mostly on vibes.
Oh, definitely. I can only imagine that, like, the entire trailer of them, like, building up this city with the humans for what I can imagine is maybe the first time they've done that. It's gonna end in, like, the city collapsing because humans are bad, and then them being like, well, we'll never help again. And then we jump to now times, and they're like, oh no, Galactus is coming.
You think this is it? You think this is where we get to start teasing Galactus?
I mean, if they weren't gonna show their heads for Thanos, they're just like, well, they can handle it. It's fine. I know half of them disappeared. They'll get them back. It's fine. But they gotta go something bigger.
You think the Eternals didn't get snapped? Is that what you're saying? You don't think they counted?
Oh, interesting. Well, even in that case, there's like half of us disappeared. It's fine. Well, like this isn't that big of a deal. Like whatever, we're the Eternals. Like that's even more of a reason
we all
for
got
me.
snapped.
Oh,
like the Ant-Man crew.
The odds were not in their favor, and they just got dusted. Well, that's possible. I don't know. I
Okay.
like the idea of them just being like, Galactus is the only thing we're caring about, and that's how we're gonna do it.
That could be interesting. I mean, I'm just hoping, I've got high hopes for this. I'm a big Chloe Zhao fan, as I've said countless times on the show. And so I'm really interested to see what her take on this is. And I love the idea of, like, a weird period adventure film. Because it takes a little bit of the... Like, I love adventure films where you're, like, going to a new land and meeting a primitive culture and stuff. But, like, a lot of times that feels really colonial and weird. And this, the idea is a little bit like the fact that they're actually meeting like primitive humans.
Right.
It's like, oh, so we can do it and not feel like super bad about the fact that it's just like white colonialism.
Yeah, you switch it out for a multicultural, multi-gender ragtag group of hyper-intelligent super aliens and make it like kinda cavemen. It feels less weird.
We've got one last trailer to talk about, which is Edgar Wright's upcoming horror film, Last Night in Soho, which is very different than I anticipated it being.
Dude, me too. This movie has been talked about for such a long time now. Like, it's been in production and pre-production, and it's been just like such an anticipated film that I found out I didn't know jack about after watching this trailer. And everything that I saw intrigued the hell out of me, really. It's gonna be freaky, obviously visually just gorgeous from what I've seen, all of the reliance on like the neon and the colored light that's gonna be in there. It's very excited.
I mean, I think Edgar Wright movies are usually very good looking. Obviously, like
absolutely.
I'm a big Scott Pilgrim fan. Obviously, Baby Driver's a great looking movie, and even his Cornetto stuff is good looking.
Definitely, it just created visually, just in a very particularly well done way.
This film, I feel like, I don't know, it feels like, I love Edgar Wright's movies, but this feels so much more of, like, it feels like a grown-up movie, and I don't mean that in any kind of derogatory way towards Edgar Wright's other films. But this feels like, oh no, but this is like it, though. This is like this is like, I'm taking, and I know that some of that is coming from the kind of stigma there is behind like parody and comedy being paired with other genres, and the sincerity that Baby Driver has also, like, because the Cornettos and Scott Pilgrim are like parody films, and Baby Driver is so sincere, like on the other end of the spectrum is like so sincere that I think some people have trouble taking it seriously. And again, those are all films that I love. I'm trying to like be clear, I'm a big Edgar Wright fan. But this movie is like, no, it's adult time. Like, it's gonna be weird and horror, and the light. I was stemming off of your comment about how it's shot, which is like the lighting feels like it has graduated to a different style than Wright usually shoots in. Like, it looks like the whole movie's gonna be shot like the third act of Baby Driver, because I mean, Baby Driver's shot by Bill Pope, who's a huge DP. Like
Mm-hmm.
he invented the style of the Matrix. That's Bill Pope shot that movie.
Yeah, definitely.
And I mean, like Spider-Man 2 and lots of other really good films. But like this movie looks so polished.
Honestly, it's I know what you're talking about here, man. It's like almost more, and this is kind of a dumb thing to say, but like more studio feeling than what I'm used to. That I also was thinking that it might be more of just how the trailer was edited together like that. Like there were a couple shots, like the very opening with the curtain opening, like I was like, "Oh, classic. Boom, Edgar Wright. Here we go." But then as we kind of got into the more montage part of the action of the trailer itself, I was like, this seems like it's pretty chopped up from what I'm anticipating.
That's true, no doubt.
Yeah.
Because, you've got the whole slowed down version of Petula Clark's Downtown, sung by Anya Taylor-Joy, good for her, and, the quick shots of iconography that it's like, there's the poster for a James Bond movie. I know James Bond movies. Oh, I know what Piccadilly Circus looks like, except now it's the 60s. Like,
yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I mean, let's talk about the content, I guess, which is what surprised me the most. That Anya Taylor-Joy and Thomasin McKenzie, who I only know from Leave No Trace, but I know is in, like, other stuff, seem to be living, like, a time split double life, where Thomasin McKenzie is living in the present, seemingly, and Anya Taylor-Joy, her alter ego, is living in the 60s, in this, like, glamorous, idealized 60s London.
Yeah, there's a whole... It's like she looks into a mirror, and she's blonde, and, well, a different actor. So, like, it's a completely different person. It's not just like it's not like a complete alter ego. It's like seemingly a completely different person. And there's a lot of interesting snippets we see her trying to, like, become more like this other person in the past, in her present, and the idea that maybe switching places is what that other person maybe wants all along. They're trying to, like, trap them or take their life, or...
Well, there's lots of hands coming through stuff in this trailer.
Oh yeah, that was freaky as hell. Through the floor, through the windows, they almost look like the buff gray vampire arms from I Am Legend.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see like, clearly there is some supernatural force that's not time travel in this film. Or, I mean, like, it could be connected to time travel, but, like, there's the weirdness of the time travel split, whatever. But then there's also some kind of clearly, like, more conventional ghosty style villain thing in this too.
I unless I'm mistaken, I think there's a line in the trailer that's like, "Do you believe in ghosts?" or something pretty straight out, but I doubt it's going to be something that simple. It feels more like Matt Smith is going to be a devil type, a demon type that's kind of orchestrating everything to, hurt whoever this woman is.
Well, I think I'm probably gonna go from this point full trailer embargo here on out. I think I'm curious enough, and I trust Edgar Wright enough that I'm like, I'm gonna see this movie opening weekend probably. So I think I'm gonna wait it out.
I might be right there with you, dude. I avoided so much even before this trailer from, like, the content of what this movie was gonna be. I'm thoroughly titillated. I'm gonna be seeing this movie regardless. I don't need to know more.
You and I'll probably be there together Thursday night, so...
Yeah, hell yeah.
Alright, this has been a nice, packed news segment. Should we move on to The Conjuring and The Conjuring 2?
Let's do it. This week's main segment, we are going to be talking about The Conjuring and The Conjuring 2, as a lead-up for our next week's episode for the release of The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It.
And, Seamus, I think probably what's going to be easiest for us, because they are such similar films, is do non-spoilers for kind of both of them together at the top, and then do spoilers for both of them together.
Yeah, that's fine with me. They, like you said, they are such similar films. I genuinely enjoy them both. I think that, there was an era of super cheap, lame, non-scary horror movies, and that first Conjuring was one of the ones I remember kind of cutting through that. Just like endless list of really bad Paranormal Activity sequels and Saw sequels and all of that. It was something that actually kind of felt like a real horror movie to me. And rewatching them both, I kind of feel that again. Like, they definitely feel, in essence, like what horror should be.
I mean, the first one in particular is so 70s horror.
Oh yeah, it might as well be the Amityville Horror almost, which they get into in the sequel, but
And of course, I mean, the Warrens famous are the ones who
right.
made the Amityville Horror famous, pretty much. And I mean, just the zooms and the long lenses and the pacing and the freeze frames and the
oh yeah.
I love it. I love it so much. This is where I think James Wan shines as a director, because these movies are so much more than like little thrill ride horror movies. Like, the point of this, and this is ironic that we keep comparing it to the Saw franchise, is like, oh, bad horror, because of course James Wan directed the first Saw movie.
Granted, those first, I'm gonna go ahead and say first 3 Saw movies are genuinely very good, but then there's like 10 of them, so I can't do it.
But the idea behind most, I feel like, contemporary horror films, especially like franchise horror films, is like they are cheap, scary vehicles for you to, like, you know, it's for teenagers to go to and cuddle up and be spooked. And there are obviously great horror films being made. You look at the works of Jordan Peele, other examples that I literally cannot think of right now because I'm a fake fan.
You got,
but you know what I mean.
Yeah, your Hereditaries, your... Yeah, I guess...
mean, even Quiet Place.
Yeah, The Quiet Place, sure. You know?
But I think these films are operating under a very different set of, like, goals than a film like a Saw film, where the goal is not just to, like, make you grossed out or scare you for 2 hours straight, because, well, it's first chasing a very different kind of scare, because the first Conjuring is only rated R because of how scary it is. That they shot it anticipating a PG-13 rating. They intentionally tried for a PG-13 rating, and the MPAA came back with an R. And they were like, okay, what do we need to cut? We don't have any cussing, we don't have any gore. And they were like, no, it's literally just too scary. And that is so inventive, so cool to me. And Juan is also chasing a kind of, and we'll talk about this more in spoilers, the idea of putting the Warrens as the center point of this franchise. Characters who you know are not going to get hurt, because they're real people that you know didn't die horrific deaths.
Right.
The fact that they are the center of this means that these films are forced to tackle a more human angle of, like, character-driven storytelling, of compassion, and I think that, like, The Conjuring 2 specifically, while being probably the lesser of these two films, is the one that handles that better, and knows what to do more with the Warrens. Because the first one runs into the problem of, like, well, the audience knows that these people can't get hurt, so we kind of keep them out of the movie for a while.
Yeah, man, I know what you mean. It's very, it's back to that classic horror formula where you are kind of getting this POV from the Warrens as seeming, you know, kind of the main characters of these movies, but then you get these defenseless and just absolutely afflicted groups that are mostly women and children, and you're like, that's where your concerns are lying, exactly the same as the Warrens on screen. You're like, them I can kind of not have to worry about too much, but these are the people that are being terrorized, that are, like, kind of not being able to be helped by the Warrens as much as they want to.
Yeah, definitely, that they keep this angle focused on the characters that are being plagued by these infestations of supernatural activity. And again, in The Conjuring 2, I think shows it better, and again, we'll talk about it in spoilers, that the Warrens are truly there to help people, and invested in helping people, and that they take great care to show the Warrens not just helping them with, like, supernatural stuff, but, like, they know that people are having trouble, not only they're only focusing on this terrible event that's happening to them. So you always see the Warrens, like, doing laundry, fixing whatever needs to be fixed around the house, just getting stuff done that needs to be done.
Yeah, family household things that they're, like, as, maybe not as true to life as the real Warrens may have been, like you said, are just like all about helping the other people over anything else. And
that's the other thing about these films. That's a tricky thing for me. I think these are great films. And whoever had the idea, I don't know if it was James Wan, I don't know if it was some studio guy, I don't know if it was some screenwriter, but whoever was like, what if we do a series based on the Warrens? Like, it's like Kolchak the Night Stalker X-Files or something.
right,
Where
yeah.
it's just like, you have these investigators that are going around hunting ghosts, and that's your movie, and we have the real life for it. We have pre-established people. Whoever had that idea, it's a spectacular idea, and I think it's so far been executed very well. I've not seen any of the spin-off Annabelles or anything like that.
Neither have
Are
I.
they in those?
I honestly couldn't tell you. I know it's Annabelle and Annabelle 2 and The Nun? Was there a second
I
Annabelle?
think there are 3 Annabelles.
Oh my good lord, okay.
There is The Nun, and I also think, I don't know if it was advertised as one, but I think technically The Curse of La Llorona is also in the Conjuring verse.
Really?
I think I read that in my research.
That is so
Let
weird.
me look it up.
Patrick Wilson just pops his head in the after credit scene and is like, yep, that's a ghost for you. And that's the connective tissue.
I'm assuming you didn't see it.
No, absolutely not.
In La Llorona, I guess, there is a priest that is like, I didn't used to believe in supernatural stuff, but then a few years back, I saw something that changed my mind, and then there's a flashback to him holding Annabelle.
You're kidding me. Really? That is so
I guess.
lame. That's so lame. I guess La Llorona wasn't a good movie, is what I heard, so...
If you want to get technical about it, Annabelle is in Aquaman, so...
What are you talking about, dude?
In one of the underwater scenes, because Aquaman is directed by James Wan, he snuck Annabelle.
Oh my
just,
god!
Like, sitting on the ocean floor.
Jason Momoa x Patrick Wilson. Let's do it. Crossover. Ridiculous.
Patrick Wilson, who is in Aquaman.
Oh my god, yes he is. See, that's the only DC modern DC movie I haven't seen. So this is all being lost on me, and this is horrible.
Okay, tangent aside about La Llorona. These are a great idea for a movie series, but I do have some like ethical questions about like, while I think they make great movie protagonists, I don't know how I feel about the Warrens, and I haven't really done enough research to know how I feel about the Warrens, because a lot of it seems very exploitative to me, but on the other hand, like, if you really believe that you are, like, exorcising demons...
That's the thing. Was Lorraine Warren actually psychic? Who knows? Nobody could ever know, but... Like you said, it's fun for main characters. I give it the Greatest Showman treatment, where I'm just like, I like it enough where I can look past the horrific history that this thing is based on.
Now, I don't know if I can't... There's definitely... This is in a gray area for me, where it's like, The Greatest Showman, I cannot condone that.
Like, I like it too much, though. I like it too much to not like it.
It's like Chick-fil-A chicken. It's like, I could put up with, like, corporate dastardliness to an extent. But
okay.
Like, when my money is going directly to, like, conversion therapy camps, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, maybe not
then. And definitely Conjuring exists in a place where I'm like, I can still appreciate this as a film series, as a character drama, because it is ultimately they are works of fiction, and I don't think that those movies are expecting anybody, despite they're based on a true story openings, are expecting anybody to take them as fact. I do applaud these movies for making it feel lived in and historical, and I think giving it that, like, practical edge is part of the reason that these movies are so good. Especially in the first movie, the whole, like, setting the cameras and the strings up, and the microphone, and the segments that are, like, on 16mm, or, like, quote, on 16mm.
Right, yeah.
You know? I think that's really a cool setup, and they wouldn't be able to accomplish that nearly as successfully if they weren't, quote, based on a true story. So, we've had our discussion about the Warrens and the ethics of the Warrens and everything, so we don't have to do that anymore.
I mean, the Warrens are dead now, right? I know they were alive for the filming of the first one, but I think they're not of this earth any longer.
I think they're both dead. Yeah, I think Ed Warren was dead even before the first one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I could have sworn I looked up something where they visited the set. Maybe that was just Lorraine.
Well, there was also a story that I read about the people who were actually, like, the people who owned the house came and visited the set.
Oh, like the family that the family was based on?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And also the fact that their house was, like, so well recreated that they were like, ah.
Like, we gotta get out of here.
But yeah, I mean, they are definitely scary. Like, and they are scary in such a good old-fashioned scary way. They are not over-reliant. There are some jump scares definitely in these movies, but they're not over-reliant on them. It is all about good old-fashioned tension building and character stakes. And, you know, I'm a big fan of these movies for somebody who has the reputation of being the scaredy cat of this podcast.
Well, I'm glad you like them, man. I really like them too, just especially because I can't help but compare them to the Insidious films for various reasons, including Patrick Wilson.
James Wan movie.
James
Patrick
Wan.
Wilson being
same era. I think they were coming out at like the same time.
That guy does work, man.
He does work, and granted, the first Insidious is very good, but I think these Conjurings are my go-to for like that era of really good horror.
Okay, Seamus, what do you think for these movies? Like 14 and up? I know you saw it when you were younger than that, probably, but...
Oh, man. I'm thinking about when I was like 10 years old and I saw the original 1973 Amityville Horror with my dad and brother, and how that was always like my standard for horror for a while because I was so young. I think you could even do this when you were like 12, maybe, if you're brave enough. There's nothing too bad.
Okay, the secret with a lot of movies is I think kids should be scared. I think kids should watch things that they shouldn't be watching.
That's the only way they're gonna learn, Garrett.
But I mean, like, if you're a parent, I think, you know, mid-teens, they're ready for it. I know, like, this could be a pretty good first scary R-rated movie, I think.
Honestly, that's pretty good because, like we were saying, this first Conjuring, it hits so many of those classic horror marks that, you know, are probably good to have hit with your first one. It's little cursing, little gore. But yeah, what do you say we jump right into the spoilers? Let's jump around because there really is. I have very specific favorite moments in both of these movies.
Well, I want to talk about Conjuring 1 first, just because it's, you know,
yeah, of
the
course.
First one. I mean, not that we won't jump around, but
please go ahead.
I'd never seen this one. I'd seen Conjuring 2 in the theater, but I did not see this one. And partially because I was 15 probably when the first Conjuring came out, and so I could not have gone to see it on my lonesome.
Of course.
And also, I just didn't have, like, definitely horror is something I got into later in my teens. Like, I was not a horror guy in general, but my mom and I watched this, you know, earlier in the week, and I really enjoyed it. It's definitely, I think, the better of the two. It's definitely the scarier of the two, even though I was pretty freaked out the first time I saw Conjuring 2.
Yeah, man. You know, there's a couple elements of the second one that are just genuinely very unique to me in the horror that I've seen that makes me regard it very highly, but rewatching this first one, I might have to agree with you. It's really everything you need in a really good horror movie, and I got the pants scared off of me, man. Like I got jump scared pretty hard because I was lucky enough to forget where a lot of these jump scares were gonna happen, and I don't know, it's real solid, man. I also didn't remember how little Annabelle mattered at all for these movies, considering it got a trilogy of spin-offs.
I want to come back to Annabelle in 1 second, but the staging of the first one is really what gets me. Is that the second one I think is very effective and very good in its horror, but the layout of the house and the way that is used and the way it is shot in the first film is just so well executed, and the way they set you up at the beginning. So, I mean, hide and clap.
Oh,
right?
Jesus Christ.
The-
What
The iconic hide and clap sequence, definitely the most famous thing from this movie, partially because it was in the trailers. But the imagery of the out of focus wardrobe opening and then the hands coming out of the clothes, clapping, and then going back in like Homer Simpson going into his hedge.
chilling stuff, dude. That is such a freaky, effective way to use 2 claps as something to just make me so scared.
And then of course, the whole sequence later in the film where you have the mom going down to the basement, trying to figure out what's going on, screaming at the ghost, and with the they set up the matches so well. Again, it's
the
basic.
matches.
It's basic screenwriting stuff of just like set up, payoff, but this movie does it so well. And so setting up the basement, paying it off. Setting up the matches, paying them off. Setting up the hide and clap, thinking you paid it off with the fact that the little ghost girl was playing hide and clap earlier, but then giving it the self-awareness to clap out the match.
Oh, perfect.
Because the thing that's so horrific about that is not only that it's like kind of like a jump scare, which I think it's more than a jump scare. I think it's more deserving of, I don't think it needs to be written off as a jump scare.
Yeah, that was like a well-deserved, well-timed scare in a horror movie, truly.
And it also has the horror of not only is this ghost aware enough to like track your patterns and exploit them, but it's also like mocking you and having fun doing it.
Oh, yeah. And yeah, that whole sequence too where it's like cutting to her with the matches and back down the stairs, and it's kind of like matching that cut back and forth while she's looking for whoever's down there. Right, like tension building perfection, truly. I knew it was going to come to, but it just didn't even help me. It was very well done.
Oh yeah, I'd seen that from the trailers almost 10 years ago now, and remembered it because it's such a powerful vignette, That's all you need to sell that movie.
I also, after that happened, they cut to the daughters playing something, I think, and she is locked in that dark basement stairwell for like 15 minutes before the dad comes home.
Oh, at least. Yeah.
The whole time I was like, no, like she's still there. That ghost is clapping in her face in the darkness and she can't do anything to stop it.
Well, that's the thing is, can the ghost be more than one place at once? Is a question I have a lot of the times in these movies. Is like, after the ghost is done with the mom and claps out the matches and then goes up to terrorize the girls, can she still be haunting the mom in the basement, or is she now up with the girls and that's where she is?
That is a great question that I think we might be looking too hard into.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, she's probably just freaking out in the dark for a while. The ghost doesn't have to be there, but then again, the entity is like a black fog shadow.
Yeah, but also sometimes it's specific ghosts of specific people, and sometimes they're bad, sometimes they're not. The Conjuring is both plagued and helped by the vagueness of its villain, in a way that the Conjuring 2's clarity is both helpful for the audience, but also makes it slightly less scary, I think, and makes it a slightly less satisfying third act.
Yeah, I can see what you mean by that. Like, the first movie has, like, the demon, I guess. Or no, it's the witch, the ghost of the witch,
it's a witch.
Who
it's
cursed
not even
the
a
land.
demon. That's the thing. Having seen the first one first, I was expecting, so the witch either conjured a demon or was herself possessed by a demon or something. But no.
It's just a witch.
It's just the witch. And that makes a lot of the things that she... Like, there's a lot of stuff that demons can do that you're just like, oh yeah, a demon did it. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, but I could chalk up demon powers to witch ghost.
I guess, but it's just a little bit vaguer for me, if that makes any sense. It just feels a little bit weirder.
I mean, granted, they do rush past it pretty quickly. Lorraine is like, I have all these files. It's a witch who cursed anybody who took her land and hung herself on the tree. And then she kind of brushes past to the other ghosts that we then see later. But it's just...
Warrens, just so you know, it's hanged. When you hang a person, it's hanged.
Oh, did they say hung?
They say hung the entire movie, and I'm like, it's hanged. The Warrens should know that. They're supernatural folk.
Yeah, they do lectures at universities, damn it.
Ghost intellectuals.
Granted, I would 100% go to a lecture where it's just footage of an exorcism. Like, that's pretty hardcore. That's wild.
These movies are both structured as mysteries. I like that this because any genre is kind of improved by like laying the mystery plot element over it. Like you think about the Harry Potter books or movies for that matter. And the Harry Potter movies are like fantasy adventure, but the structure of their plot is a mystery. Like it's always what's going on at Hogwarts? What is, we got to solve the case.
That is very
And
true.
so when you look at the Conjuring films, right? The first one's mystery is more structured like a Scooby-Doo, where Velma shows up and just she has all the information, and then you just know what's happening. And that's something that falls down a little bit for me, even though I think the third act of the film is still very good.
Oh, yeah.
And better than the third act of the second film. But the second film actually has clues and stuff that you and the characters are keeping track of, and you're seeing like how all these pieces fit together, and it's like it's got that classic kiss kiss bang bang
Yeah.
thing where you've got two cases but they're really the same case because you've got Bill in England and the that going on, and you've got the nun, right?
It's all coming together by the end of it. That's yeah. That is really a great structure to do that too, because they in that second one they lay down the name stuff like super early when she ruins her Bible that she then brings with her still.
So, I mean, I think that's pretty well executed. I'm hoping that the third one really leads into the mystery element. Because it sounds like it's going to be something along the lines of, I think The Devil Made Me Do It. I don't know a lot. Again, I haven't seen a full trailer for it. I think the title alludes to, like, a crime has been committed and the person is claiming that they were possessed. And so, if we get the Warrens investigating what happened, I think that could be so interesting. Like, really lead into that mystery genre.
Oh, that is actually an awesome idea. Like having Lorraine try to psychic some of the clues out. Maybe they lean in hard because for the first two movies they really made sure the audience knew like the Vatican is very strict about demon stuff and the devil and exorcisms and what we can legally do to help you. If it is maybe a legal stance of it, it would be kind of cool to see them working against the restrictions of the church while trying to like solve a crime, maybe before time runs out on the case or before the person is sentenced. There could be a lot there.
I do like that while these movies are very clearly like, yeah, the Vatican is right, there are demons and they need to be exorcised and everything, they also make the church like a pain. It's like, oh, well, the church isn't really sure about this one.
Yeah, they have to really convince their other priest friend. Though I did think it was funny that by the end of the first one, Ed was like, yeah, I could do an exorcism alone. Like, I've been there for a few. I can do them. And he does.
And then I do like that the third act, their stakes feel much higher than they do in the third act of the second film. Because you have the entire sequence where their daughter is home with the grandmother, but home alone, and the demon, whatever, with the locket, when they're reaching through the locket for her daughter, and the Annabelle doll is missing.
Another great setup and payoff, by the way, those lockets to be like a conduit doorway to the daughter. Very nice.
Yeah. And also, I mean, Annabelle, too, that's a setup and payoff in its own right. The brilliance of that scene and the way it elevates the stakes for the Warrens to the point that you're like, okay, yeah, he is gonna break the rule of the church and do an exorcism because dude is desperate. This is his family now,
Yeah, true.
I think that's executed so well. But I do like the way that they focus on Ed and Lorraine's marriage more in the second one, on their relationship, because the second one is the rare horror film that ends on like a happy note almost and has genuine moments of humanity in it.
Yeah, definitely.
Because there's a whole, sequence going into the third act of number 2 where they bring the records, and then when the records don't work, he sings the Elvis song, and Patrick Wilson does a weirdly good Elvis impression.
Yeah, with the swoopy hair and everything too. It definitely works.
And but not only is he like, that's a great example of the Warrens helping these people, bringing humanity back into their lives, but it's also a glimpse into Ed and Lorraine's relationship and the way that they function and how they love each other. And that's wonderful. And even taking the step of having Lorraine have the conversation with the British guy, Gross.
Oh yeah, Maurice Gross.
Where he's like, my daughter, she died, turning this one-dimensional character into, a little bit more than what most movies would have him be, giving him that depth.
I was just gonna say, yeah, I definitely didn't remember Maurice Gross getting that, like, he's like packing his pipe, talking about like how he needs to know about the afterlife for his daughter and his heartbreak, and there's a couple of those between Ed and Lorraine where I think they both talk to the little girl who's got the Bill ghost possessing her in like a very sweet and tender way, referencing their own relationship with each other. And like you said, it makes you feel a little bit more for this fictional version of the Warrens that you want to be like that in real life.
And then goes and ends the movie with them dancing and smiling. Like, in most other horror films would end on that shot of the chair.
Yeah, oh god, yeah.
Just like the end of the first film is the mirror, the spinning mirror, where you're just waiting for the jump scare. You're
gripping your
the thing.
Yeah.
And it doesn't come, of course.
I hope they do that in the third one too. Do a little tension right at the end, just for a little
The Conjuring 2, on the other hand, says no, this is a story about Ed and Lorraine and their marriage and the humanity behind the ghost hunting. And so we're going to end on a note that is satisfying that urge. It's not just a cheap tension build, wait for the jump scare that doesn't come. They do that. They also get to do that. But
yeah, best of both worlds there. Definitely building for their relationship and as individual characters. Didn't quite feel the tension with the impaling vision that we're kind of teased with throughout the movie. Like, that was even like in the moment where he's dangling out the window over the perfectly sharpened tree trunk that was struck by lightning. I was like, okay, sure.
So bad. Yeah. Why does it look so bad?
I don't know. Why did it look so bad? It's very weird. For like
everything else in that movie looks so good.
And that's like the ultimate climax moment of like, oh, are they gonna die? Of course not, but that's what they want us to think.
And that's where these movies are hurt by the based on a true story thing. Is in the second they try to make me think that Ed is actually in danger, it's like, he's not gonna die, and I'm out of it now.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's why the third act of the second one doesn't hold up as well, even though, there's still definitely good moments. The crosses all turning upside down.
Oh, classic.
The girl almost falling out the window is definitely more of a moment than him.
Well, that's why in my mind they do a lot of very good work with the Warren character and story, but where the second movie shines for me, and which is why I probably regarded it higher than the first one when I had initially seen the second movie, is how they, like, I don't even know how to say it eloquently, like, they take moments that should, for all intents and purposes, be completely safe and scare-free, and they just hit you with it when there's, like, rational characters around,
Yes.
The little girls, they run and grab their mom. Oh, of course the ghost isn't gonna do anything when the mom is around, and then they hit you with the dresser. Or, the cops are here, it's obviously gonna be some rational explanation all of a sudden. No chance. Chair across the floor. The cops scared to death. Loved that. It just made everything feel so helpless outside of the Warrens and their, like, power of love and Jesus and all that.
I mean, you're absolutely right that the brilliance of these films is partially the fact that these ghosts and demons aren't scared of people. They will do whatever they want in front of whoever they want.
Yeah, God. Turning the neighbor's dog into the Crooked Man in front of everyone is horrible.
And the Crooked Man, here's an interesting... I'm pulling it up real quick. I want to get the guy's name because it's such a weird thing. I don't know if you know this. The Crooked Man is actually largely practical because he's got that really cool stop motion effect where, it's supposed to mimic the way that the zoetrope that the little boy has looks. And you would think that they just did that in post, and I'm sure a lot of it they did. But apparently, he's played by an actor named Javier Bodet, who
What?
also is in a ton of other horror films. And one of the things that he is known for is he can move like he's animated, like at a jittery
Whoa.
frames per second.
That is so cool. That's like I think one of the freakiest and best designed monsters of that second one is the Crooked Man, in my opinion. Is like, especially for the way he moves down the hallway in that sequence. So that is blowing my mind that that's practical. Oh my god.
That's another thing I don't like about it, is the fact that the Crooked Man just kind of goes away. Like, he locks him in a room or something, and then it's just...
Oh yeah. Yeah, they just kind of get rid of him, don't they?
But I want to talk about the sequence that I so clearly remember from the second one, other than the nun painting sequence, which we should also talk about.
Oh, one of the best, yeah.
Is the shot that is just like 3 minutes unbroken of Patrick Wilson to camera, shallow focus, where everything behind him is out of focus, including the little girl, where you see the little girl talking to him transforming into the ghost of Bill Wilkins.
That is a fantastic scene. Yeah, definitely really effective in the way that they do that. Again, kind of going back to that in front of professionals and doctors and professors and in the presence of all of this like actual authority, this ghost is not afraid to fully come out pretty much and like address these people. Oh, it's great.
But I just think that is such an amazing scene because it feels like a low-budget solution that is so much more effective than any amount of high-budget CG anything.
Definitely. Like you said, just the focus of the camera, just enough where you can't really see what's happening. Is that a shadow? Is that something appearing? Is it a different thing? What's going on? It's just really, really well done.
Which is made even more effective by the fake out at the beginning where they have all the posters on the wall in the girls' room, and you think it's the man hiding in the corner, and it's lit like a traditional horror film, and then they turn the lights on, and it's just a Starsky and Hutch poster or whatever. Oh god.
So well done. And like you were saying before, the same kind of technique as the scene with the nun painting in Ed's office, where everything is lit in a way where you can't tell if the painting is a painting, if there's somebody standing in front of it, if it's not a painting at all. And then, obviously, hitting us with that, it's behind the painting in the wall because it doesn't play by our rules thing is incredible.
And I think that's where I think this is the best jumping off point for, like, the first time I saw this movie, the nun freaked me out so much I did not sleep for, like, a week.
What? Really? Oh, dude. I get that, though. Just, like, the kraken teeth that thing has, and that scene alone where it takes the painting and is like sprinting full force at Lorraine is terrifying.
I think that sequence like really stuck in my brain. The sequence in the Warren house with the nun in the hallway and in the painting and everything else, and then watching it this time, definitely diminishing returns. Like I was not really scared during this movie. Watching it the second time.
Once they get in the office, I was definitely chilled, but in some of the scenes where the nun is a little more out in the open like that, more of my mind went to like, I guess even in that moment specifically, like, oh, does the daughter have psychic powers now? She can see the nun, and I kind of got distracted by that.
But also then it just turns out to be like a vision sequence anyway.
Yeah.
Where the daughter doesn't remember any of it. But that would be an interesting way to take it. I'm sure she's still alive, the Warren's daughter.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Make it, ghost hunting's a family business, Seamus.
They could do that. The Conjuring 4. My parents made me do it.
Shh, that's pretty good.
Thank you. That's an SNL sketch at best.
But yeah, I think the first one is the scarier of the two because once you get over the nun, there's not much in the second movie because the Crooked Man is in there so little.
True, and the way that they use the actual character of Bill, besides like the voice changing and like the little girl being the physical manifestation or vessel or whatever you want to call it. There's that great "My House" jump scare, and then we really don't get much from that ever again. I don't think it kind of switches to the monsters.
Yeah, which honestly, one of the most effective things in that movie is the chair. Just
Oh yeah.
because it's always there, and the scene where Billy's going down to get his water, and you see him in the
Oh,
chair when he passes by.
James Wan loves to sneak that lovely little background goodies in there in those kinds of scenes of just like mundane. Oh, doing the laundry, ghost in the background. Getting some water, ghost in the background.
But I mean, the end where they're like, "Oh, and the mom died sitting in that chair."
Yeah, that was, if anything, seemed super exploitative of that movie. It seemed like that mother's death maybe was. Could be
Yeah, that's
true. I don't know, but why the hell would they keep that chair in that house?
everybody should be getting rid of all their furniture all the time in these movies, and they just aren't. But
Ugh.
in addition to that, like, yeah, that is the one because it's so like 2003. I'm like, oh, that's so recent.
Yeah.
Like that one does feel really exploitative, especially because it just feels like this kind of cheap, not scare at the end of the movie.
Yeah, like I can hear that last written out part of the freeze frame, like, and she died in the same chair. Like, come on, man, don't do it. That's not cool.
I'm excited. I'm excited about the third one, Seamus. I really am. I like these movies. I like that they are such a refreshing, different change of pace, not only from the like horror genre, but also they're a refreshing change of pace from like these cinematic universe mega franchises because it makes as much money as most anything like that. I mean, not Marvel or something like that, but you
Sure.
know. But it's such a different take on it, and it has such a more grounded, human, low, like small scale window for films that are really a mega blockbuster franchise.
Just like you, Garrett, I'm really excited to see this third one. I hope some of our predictions are right, considering know nothing. But I guess it's only a matter of days until we get to see what's what.
Mostly, I just hope it is on par with the quality of these films. That's all I'm looking for. I don't have like super high expectations, and it's also nice. That's another thing about these big blockbuster things is I don't have to go into this movie like, oh, they better pay off the end of this trilogy well. It's like, no, it's just a ghost movie.
Yeah, the stakes of the movie may be high, but the stakes for us as viewers are as low as I hope this is scary and fun, which the other two absolutely were. So I'm ready for it.
Absolutely. Should we move on to our pop culture reference, Seamus?
Let's do it.
So, for today's pop culture reference, we're going to be talking about the history of the United Artists Corporation, which is a Hollywood studio, and it will become evident in a moment why we are discussing it. It was founded in 1919 by just a slew of great actors and directors and everything from the era, including Charlie Chaplin, Mary Pickford, and Douglas Fairbanks. Just, legends. D.W. Griffith also, who is also in the annals of film history. We can debate his legacy
He's there.
another time.
Important for some reasons, terrible for others.
Important for some reasons, but also has had that importance overstated.
Yeah, probably.
But basically, the entire idea behind United Artists was that even back, in the 19 teens, over 100 years ago, the studio system was corrupt and largely interested only in making money and not interested in art for art's sake. And obviously, Chaplin and Pickford especially were like artists. And, Chaplin, I'm trying to even think of anybody similar to him in the last 20 or 30 years that was just this maverick who did whatever he wanted. He was like, these are the movies that are important for me to make, and so I'm going to make them because that's what I need to do. And he was the biggest star of his era too, so he had the power to do it. So UA had, like, from its inception, was all about the creation of art that mattered outside of the interest of studio commerce. And it was a way for artists to really pursue what they wanted to pursue. And we got some amazing films out of it, including, tons of Chaplin's later work. And, like, High Noon, a movie that is all about critiquing where Hollywood was at that point in history. And
I've seen parts of High Noon, and I know that it is definitely scathing, especially for the era. So it makes complete sense that that was kind of born out of this United Artists collaboration.
and so it was a pretty important studio for a long time until the 80s. It was bought by MGM, who, of course, was one of those very studios that UA was trying to buck during its inception. And so it essentially became like a production arm of MGM, who was already, by the 80s, kind of a little bit more of an underdog studio than it had been in the past. Like, it used to be this juggernaut of a studio. A kind of dwindling that continued until just this week when Amazon bought MGM and completed a 100-year journey from UA being this anti-corporate, loving of art studio, art for art's sake, let's buck big business in cinema, and now it is under the rule of Amazon. And
Yeah,
I just think,
God,
that is an insane twist of fate.
yeah, truly. However many people rolling in their graves right now, just looking at their legacy of union and, complete artist auteurism, just like wanting to, like you said, create art for art's sake, just fold it in and fold it in and fold it in, and now part of the company that's known for making their workers pee in bottles, and who I think I just learned have a secret patent for a wrist shocking device if you work too slow.
Hey, buddy, if you have a problem with it, why don't you go to the cry closet like a big baby where we can record all of your personal thoughts.
They don't record those booths, do they?
Seamus, it's Amazon. What do I know?
There's an Alexa on every in earshot of every square foot of any given warehouse.
No spoilers, but I think it's time to move on to our next segment.
Oh, okay. Well, why don't we head on over to Save the Rec Center? Now it's time to Save the Rec Center, where we give you our weekly recommendations. Garrett, what are you thinking about this week?
Well, I have no idea if you're going to end up cutting it or not, but you and I just finished up the last Pop Culture Reference segment referencing the Billy Wilder 1960 classic, The Apartment, which I just cannot recommend highly enough. I'm a big Billy Wilder fan. I'm a big Jack Lemmon fan. I'm a big Shirley MacLaine fan. And all of that comes together to an absolutely fantastic, gut-wrenching, but also hilarious film in a way that only really Billy Wilder can pull off. And, I've obviously been thinking a lot about MGM and UA. A lot of my favorite films are MGM and United Artists productions. So, looking back at their back catalog and thinking about all of those great films that both of those studios have made over the years, The Apartment is definitely one of my favorites, and one that I slept on for a really long time. I didn't see it until about a year and a half ago, and I cannot wait, definitely, for the remake with Chris Evans and Zendaya. So,
oh, Christ, yeah.
So yeah, that's a really big recommend on Billy Wilder's The Apartment, now owned by Amazon.
Oh, God. Well, I'll go hit up my Amazon Prime Video and I'll watch it with you, Garrett.
But what do you got, Seamus? Tell me about your rec center.
I discovered some very interesting music on these last couple weeks of finals here. If you ever need to hear ambient, liminal, lyricless mall music. If you're ever in that mood, that's such a specific and weird thing that you might be looking for. Zadig the Jasp. Zadig the JASP.
Gazoom type, bro.
Yeah, it's a little bit gibberish sounding, but it's just like if you need some, it's just like ambiance of a mall that is shutting down, and it's a weird pitch, like I said before, but it's so calming. It's like legitimately one of my favorite things to listen to while I'm doing just like anything mundane. If it makes everything feel all ethereal and dreamy, and I highly recommend that you check him out. He's only got a couple of these weird mishmash albums out there. He actually just dropped another one 4 months ago after like years of being more inactive, but it's wholly satisfying and really relaxing. It's almost just like meditation music. So give that a shot if you need some good old background ambience.
That sounds fascinating, and I will definitely check it out. It sounds a lot to me like what you're describing the vibe as is like when you listen. There are a lot of videos that you can listen to on YouTube where it's like shopping mall or theme park ambiance. So it's not just like the music that you hear at a theme park or a mall, but it's like with the echo effect and like slight crowd noise.
The appropriate echo, and once in a while, yeah, just hearing like a sneaker hit a waxed floor or something like half a mile down a lobby. It's exactly that pretty much, and it's very good. Yeah, but I think with that, that's going to wrap us up for today. If you want to contact the show on social media, that's PCR_pod on Instagram and Twitter. And you can email us at popculturereferencepod@gmail.com with any questions or suggestions for the show. You can also find us on YouTube. Like and subscribe over there. Leave us a rate. Leave us a review. Anything that you can do to help us, it would be absolutely fantastic. Other than that, I think we're out of here. Adios, amigos.
My house.
Like, what? Huh?
You didn't watch the main segment. I'm sorry.
My house. That was very, like, theatrical. My house. Sounded like you were inviting everybody to a party.